Welcome to our discussion on nurturing sibling relationships. You know, those bonds that shape us from childhood into adulthood.
I'm all in. It's such an interesting topic, especially how these early relationships can actually pave the way for future interactions.
Absolutely. It's like these relationships set the stage for everything else. Siblings are often our first teachers when it comes to understanding conflict management and social skills.
Got it. And think about it. More than 80% of kids in the US grow up with siblings. That's a huge number of relationships shaping our social lives, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's so much value in these bonds. They help with academic achievement, emotional well-being, and even later on, conflict resolution. It's really about laying a foundation for healthy emotional development.
Right on. But then, of course, there's the whole flip side. When sibling conflict gets intense, it can seriously hurt mental health.
Right. When you look at high conflict and aggression between siblings, it's been linked to issues like depression and low self-esteem, even later in life. It's a reminder that balance is key.
I mean, it's interesting how these dynamics play out. Kids feel safe enough to really let it all out with siblings, sometimes leading to explosive emotions.
Yup, exactly. And that's where parents step in. Teaching kids healthy ways to handle those strong emotions is paramount. It's like walking a tightrope between allowing natural expression and setting boundaries.
True. Speaking of boundaries, what do you think about the strategies for introducing a new sibling? I always felt that was a delicate balance.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite nuanced. For the firstborn, a new sibling can stir up mixed emotions. Excitement combined with anxiety or resentment. It's really important to include them in conversations about the baby, even during pregnancy.
Right, that inclusion is key. Yeah, kinds of like preparing them for an upcoming adventure while still preserving their special role.
Exactly. Parents are advised to let them, talk to the baby, learn about the pregnancy, and even help with little tasks when the baby arrives. It helps maintain that, irreplaceable bond.
And that connection can really set the tone for their ongoing relationship, right? Especially when you consider that if nurtured well, this bond can protect against loneliness and depression.
Yes, definitely. But then we hit toddler territory, and boy, things get intense. Toddlers start asserting their independence, saying, I want it all by myself. And then, boom, conflicts over toys.
Oh, totally. So what's the best move when those mine moments hit?
That's where emotion coaching by Dr. Gottman comes in. It's a 5-step method to help kids recognize and manage their emotions, especially those big challenging ones like anger or frustration.
Very effective. Can you break down those steps a bit? I know it starts with being aware of the child's emotion.
Sure. So the first step is the parent ensuring they're aware of their own emotions. Once that's set, then it's like recognizing the child's emotion is a chance for deeper intimacy and learning.
Yeah, I get that. And then you have to listen empathetically and help the child label their emotions, right?
Exactly, yeah. That means tuning into their body language, facial expressions, and essentially seeing the world from their perspective to validate their feelings.
That validation is crucial. But aren't there times when you might need to set limits even as you validate?
Right on. After empathy comes the limit-setting step, where parents help kids problem solve and choose, appropriate actions, all while keeping family values in mind.
That's a balanced approach, teaching emotional intelligence without letting behaviors go unchecked.
Yes, exactly. It's about finding that equilibrium. Now, moving on to school-age kids, things shift a bit because sibling rivalry becomes more pronounced.
Absolutely. Rivalry here can be pretty intense. Siblings begin competing over parental attention, academic performance, and even social standing, right?
Right, exactly. And a key underlying issue is that sometimes kids start to tie their worth to achievements. This can lead to jealousy and resentment if comparisons are made, intentionally or not.
That's a real pitfall. So, how should parents navigate that? I mean, avoiding comparisons seems obvious, but it can be challenging in the heat of the moment.
It is challenging, but the idea is to recognize each child as an individual, appreciate their unique traits, and promote an environment of cooperation rather than competition.
Right, that individual recognition can really help. And that ties directly into the notion of favoritism. Even unintentional favoritism can wreak havoc among siblings, don't you think?
Absolutely. Favoritism creates deep fractures. Even subtle differences in the way rules are applied can lead kids to feel undervalued. So, maintaining transparency and consistent expectations is vital.
Consistency is key. But sometimes, even with best intentions, a parent might struggle. Would you say that, like, being fair isn't always about treating everyone exactly the same?
Yeah, exactly. Fairness is nuanced. It's about adjusting expectations based on age and developmental differences while keeping the core values intact. Parents should aim for equity, not necessarily equality.
Right. That distinction is really important. Moving into the teen years, things can get even more complex with sibling conflict.
For sure, teenagers have their own set of challenges. Privacy, independence, and even the use of shared resources, like cars or computers. This isn't just about rivalry, it's about managing their growing need for autonomy while being part of a family unit.
Indeed. I've seen debates over everything from personal space to who gets to use the family car. It seems like these conflicts, if not managed, could seriously affect their overall relationship.
Exactly, and this is where the long-term importance of sibling bonds comes into play. Even though teens argue, these relationships often become the longest-lasting ties we have in life.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. But don't you think sometimes it's a bit idealistic to say that every conflict, if managed correctly, will result in a positive outcome?
That's a fair challenge. While not every issue resolves perfectly, consistently using strategies like emotion coaching can, at least minimize harm and instill better conflict resolution skills for the future.
I see your point. And what about the role of families in promoting these skills? I mean, aside from direct intervention, how can families create an atmosphere that supports healthy sibling dynamics?
Well, there are a few things. For one, encouraging family activities like, say, regular family meals can foster a sense of unity. Also, coaching children to find positive ways to get attention from each other can discourage negative behaviors.
Yeah, that sounds like a solid strategy. I love that idea. It's like building a community within the family where every member feels seen and valued.
Exactly, and in the end, nurturing these sibling relationships is about preparing kids for a lifetime of social interactions, emotional challenges, and relationships. It's like planting a seed that grows into a tree of support over time.
Beautifully put. It really does come full circle, from early childhood lessons to lifelong bonds. I guess the takeaway is that while sibling conflict is inevitable, it can be managed and transformed into a powerful force for personal growth.
Right, and with tools like Gottman's emotion coaching, parents have a roadmap to help their kids navigate these complex feelings and build stronger relationships. It's like giving them a toolkit for life.
Absolutely. That's the key. Amazing discussion. Really shedding light on how those early, sometimes messy interactions really shape who we become.
For sure, it's all about helping our kids get along so they can thrive individually and as a family unit.
Thanks for diving into this with me. It's been an enlightening journey through the dynamics of sibling relationships.